Good evening, everybody. Welcome to round number 10 here in Flashpoint Racing League of the Tier 1 division. And as you can see, straight away, it's raining. What looks to me like what will be an incredible qualifying session, because we have 14 drivers here, of course, some of the fastest in the world. And it's going to be a wet qualifying session. So excited to see really what these guys can do. Sorry about that, guys. Had some technical issues, but we are back. Like I say, it's round number 10 here in Texas at the Circuit of the Americas. And what an exciting prospect we have for qualifying as we see some drivers come out of the pits and onto the track. I believe one of the Haas cars of Laser was out first. Of course, Walcott there as well in the Williams. Look at that. It's already so slippery on those intermediate tyres. And I mean, I must say, I'm very excited now to see what these drivers can do here in this qualifying session. So let's get all the details onto the board. Let's see who, as far as I'm aware, I mean, obviously we've had a few wet moments in races and so on. In terms of qualifying sessions, definitely since I started commentating here in Flashpoint, this is the first wet qualifying session I believe we've had at the moment. So exciting to see what's going to change, what's going to happen here. As like I say, we have the Williams of Walcott out first on track, followed by Laser. See the drivers now starting to come out on track. Some still in the pits. Want to see, of course, what happens with the weather, I should say. But for anyone who doesn't really know what's going on in the championship standings, how couldn't you? Incredible championship fight has ensued, and it seems to be topped and almost claimed by NSX Selly 360, who you can see there, 11th in the time boards, just on his outlap now. And like I say, a great season so far, some great racing. The championship battle kind of fell away towards the end of the season as Selly kind of went to another level and really just made a massive difference in the championship and really kind of pulled himself away from everybody else. But like I say, let's go through the drivers' standings and help everybody understand what the situation is here after 9 rounds and 3 to go. So Selly, like I say, leads the championship on 170 points, 5 race victories from a possible 9 this season. Absolute dominance so far from the AlphaTauri driver. And like I say, Cucumber again not here today in second place on 117 points, followed by Gatkowski on 115. Limitless, who had a great start to the season, but really fell away on 93 points, followed by Volcano on 86. Still not got that elusive race victory this season, which he could have had last time out. Oh, as we see going into turn 1 there, almost. Actually, a bit of contact there between Laser and the McLaren, thankfully not. Rudy Singer, Gay Katkowski masterclass coming in. I'm sure for his sake he'll definitely hope that, because he is the only man, now that Cucumber is not here, he is the only man, Kay Gatkowski, who can stop the NSX Slowly onslaught on the title. So, like I say, speaking of which, the gap is, I mean, it's massive, obviously. At the top of the table, it's 53 points to Cucumber from Selly. But like I say, with Cucumber not being here, it's actually 55 points between Selly and Gatkowski. So the only way this championship will continue is if Gatkowski outscores NSX Selly by, with due to fast slaps and so on, has to be 3 points. So simple enough. If Gatkowski wins the race, the championship rolls on to the next round. But of course, until then, we need to see what the drivers can do. So Laser is the man, of course, who is in the Haas and was one of the first drivers out. But we have Walcott here on the intermediate tyres. Let's see what he can do as he goes through the long right-hander. Really wanted to kind of mimic Istanbul Park, really, in turn 8 there. Unfortunately, they didn't really quite do it justice, as we see the cars twitching just so hard to get the car in these conditions. But let's see what he can do as he goes around the final corner now. Going to be a bit of a conservative time, I think, from Walcott now as it goes across the line. Let's see what the first time on the board is. It's 144 flat, expecting that to be beaten when some of the faster drivers come out. What about Laser? Can he instantly go quicker than that as he comes across the line? Now, yes, he can. 43.7. Sister Haas driver comes across the line now as well, and he does a 42.5, does Carl in the Haas. So already 1.2 seconds clear. You'll see Volcano 43.2, not the best lap from him, usually quite a quick qualifier. What about Igor? He's on his lap as well at the moment too. Limitless 2 also on his lap. What about Mr. Psycho as he comes across the line? Is he about to start his lap? Yes, he is. So we're not looking for him at the moment. Now a Mercedes coming across the line too of Gatkowski, who does that 42.4, already puts it in pole position, a tenth ahead of the Haas driver of Carl. What about Zorzo then as he comes around the second to last corner? So easy to invalidate your time there. Selly goes P2. The two championship contenders are locking out the front row at the moment. What about Zorzo though? Can he do anything about this as he comes across the line? 43.7, not quite challenging the top guys at the moment as Flo does a 44.3. What about Igor then as he comes round the final few corners now? Currently, of course, the Mercedes driver only kind of lingering in about 5th place in the standings at the moment. He's going to want a good few races as he comes across the line now. What can he do? Oh, as he loses the back end as he comes across the line, and that's going to have lost him time. Puts him into P6 at the moment. But of course, we're still expecting more time from him. What about Limitless then? Comes around the final corner now. Had such a promising early start of the season, and the qualifying's not been there for him. Up into P5 at the moment. Some time in that, definitely. And at the moment, it looks like the top 3 are in a league of their own. But of course, these times will keep tumbling down as we have some yellow flags in the middle sector. I think some drivers just getting out of the way. What about Stefano? He's on a lap in the AlphaTauri. Of course, his teammate Selly going for the championship today, but he's actually not on a lap at the moment. What about Lucas as he comes across the line now into the final corner? Let's see what he can do. Looks like a pretty decent time from the Alpine driver as he comes across the line. 42.6. That's put him in the top 4. Great time. That really puts him in contention for pole position. Great time from Lucas there in the Alpine, so that's the driver we should definitely be looking out for on the second runs. Zorzo, like we say, not on the lap. I think everybody really has kind of finished their laps at the moment. What about Mr. Psycho? Comes across the line now, one of the last drivers to do it, and he does a 43.7, puts him into P7 just behind Limitless, but of course it's almost half a second between Psycho and Limitless. So interesting to see if those times will change. Laser on another lap as well. He must have fueled up for 2 at least. As is Limitless, should it be said. Some of the drivers now coming across the line. Volcano about to start another lap. I see Carl, he's not improving too much at the moment. Neither is Gatkowski. So let's see what Limitless can do. Up by 0.2 of a second almost as we go through now. A really wide line he uses as we ride on board. Now let's look at that throttle application. Just so treacherous in these conditions. Has to come off the throttle into the long right-handed corner here, which is so usually flat in the dry. What about this corner? So crucial. Clip the curve on the inside, which he does. He doesn't want to do too much and lose time. Doesn't look like he's done that. So he should be gaining time now as he comes across the line. Can he get anywhere higher than P7, which he is at the moment? As he comes across the line, 43.1. Does he gain in his time? Goes ahead of Volcano. But like I say, it looks like the top 4 in a bit of a league of their own at the moment. As Igor going through now, I don't think he's on a lap. So I think these drivers now are starting realistically push for round number 2. Let's see Selly now. I think he did the exact same time going through the first sector. That's incredible consistency from that man. As Gatkowski's actually up by 0.2 of a second. Could be another incredible lap being put down here from the Mercedes driver. Let's see as he goes through the long left hander. It seems to go on forever, especially in these conditions. Gets the throttle down. A bit of a loose back end there, but he seems to have held it quite well. The McLaren thankfully gets out of the way there. You must see how much the car turns in for him. It just seems to be a bit more on rails than it did of Limitless when riding on board. Let's see the line he takes through here. Doesn't take all the curb because he doesn't want to unsettle the front end of the car. As you can see there, he uses all the curb as well to extend the track, but that's pushed him wide slightly. Let's see if this is going to be improvement as he comes across the line. Up by 0.2. Can he do it? Yes, he does. Loses a bit of time. It's a 42.3. I want to see what Selly's doing now. He's actually down his time, so he needs an incredible final sector now if he wants to get it anywhere near there. As you see some of the McLaren drivers coming across the line now, but it's Selly. Will he try and do another lap and continue this one, or will he go into the pits and get another fresh set of boots on? Let's see as he comes around the final corner now. Yes, he is finishing this lap. Can he get it nicely apex? Yes, he does. Not as Gatkowski did as he comes across the line now, and it's pole position by, what is that, 0.2 of a second. 0.5 gained in the final sector for Selly. Incredible to see the AlphaTauri driver in a league of his own, really, at the moment. And Gatkowski needs to gain at least 0.2 of a second to be able to get back on top there. What about Carl, though? He's on another lap at the moment in the Haas. Is he going to try and take pole position back from Selly in the AlphaTauri as we go through now into the end of the middle sector? He's all the curb that he possibly can. It looks to me like he has a good balance to that Haas car. Purple in the middle sector, it seems, but down by 1/10. So mustn't have had the best first part of the lap as one of the Red Bulls come across the line, I believe, to start their next lap. But let's see what Carl can do now. Comes through the long right-hander. Like I say, it must feel like it takes ages in these conditions to get the throttle fully down because these conditions are absolutely treacherous when it comes to these cars, of course. Look at that, he also uses the back end, I think, there, as he runs wide. Will he invalidate? No, he keeps it on track, but he goes into the pit lane. I think he lost too much time there. What about Lucas? Yes, he comes across the line now. I was just about to say, he goes up to P3. Great time from him. Still in the battle for the front row. Maybe even pole position now. Volcano as well, he's not looking to improve at the moment. Neither is Igor, as he's actually invalidated his time. Shame from him, as he was up by 200ths of a second. What about Limitless, though? Comes through the first sector split right about now, and he's actually, I think, improving on his time. So let's see what the Red Bull driver can do as he comes onto the straight now. Like I say, he might potentially run out of ERS. Hopefully for his sake he doesn't. Like I say, the Red Bull driver on a mission at the moment to try and improve his time. Coming towards now, end of the middle sector, comes through the split right about now. What time is he put on the board? Can he improve? Yes, he does, by 0.2 of a second. So we're expecting a high 42 from Limitless here, unless he can find even more time in the final sector. I'm sure he'll be wanting to aim for the top 5 at least. After the trials and tribulations he's had in the last few races, Brazil was definitely a race to forget for this man. As we come through now, the long right-hander, oh, the back end once again steps out for Limitless. That could have lost him a bit of time. As we go through, let's see if he can get this corner a bit better. Yes, he does. He doesn't clip the curb as much, doesn't unsettle the car, but he does come into the pit lane. I think he lost all that time. He wants to get a fresh set of boots on now. Mr. Psycho on another lap as well, though, as Carl comes out of the pits. Selly as well, he's on an out lap at the moment, I believe, too. So let's see what happens with these drivers. Mr. Psycho coming through now, end of the middle sector. Let's see if he's improving his time now. Car doesn't look too unsettled as he chucks it into the long left-handed corner. Now he's got another yellow flag. I think it's just somebody coming into the pit lane. Mr. Psycho, great qualifying so far from him in P5. Can he mix it with the big boys at the top in the top 4? We'll soon see as he comes around. 2 more corners to go. Will he dart into the pit lane? Yes, he does. I don't think he was improving on that lap, so he wants another fresh set of tyres on. What about Volcano? Is he improving? Don't think he is at the moment. Potentially will just be coming into the pit lane, as you can see. He's not got the throw. Oh, as he almost loses the back end, so he must be pushing. Let's see what he can do now. He's got 2 more corners to go. Will he jump into the pit lane to get a fresh set of tyres on, or is he happy completing this lap? No, he comes into the pit lane now. A lot of the drivers going for that fresh set of tyres as the rain starts to abate here at the circuit of the Americas. What about Selly, though? 360. Comes around the long right-handed corner. Gets it wide, though. And that is an invalidation, so I'm sure you'll see him in the pits. Yes, he does, as he comes in there now. Gatkowski waiting in the pits. I think he's just coming out now, actually, to be fair. You see Carl on his outlap. First of the heavy hitters to start his final qualifying run, potentially. If he's got a few laps of fuel, he can do a few laps here. He will just have to make sure, of course, to charge his battery and then go for it again. So let's see what he does. As you can see there, he expands the track as much as possible going through the final corner. Just to reiterate to everyone who's just tuning in at the moment, Selly 360 can win the championship tonight. Gatkowski, the only man who could stop him with Cucumber not being here, he has to beat Selly by at least 5 points to bring the championship down to the next race with 3 races to go. But let's see what Carl can do here. Look at the corners. They just come so thick and fast here at COTA. There's never a moment to really rest on your laurels. As we go through now the end of the first split, up by 1/10 of a second. That's a good improvement. That'll put him in P3 at the moment at the head of the second row. But let's see if he can improve even more and try and get the car close to pole position. I'm sure that's something Carl will want. An incredible qualifier, as we've seen throughout this season. 2 pole positions already for Carl. Not quite been able to get his second place or first place, really, it must be said. He's been aiming for race victories, I'm sure, but he's had 2 pole positions so far, which has been incredible to see. But let's see as he comes down the long back straight, where I'm sure we'll see most of the overtaking. Will he be able to improve on his middle sector time now? Coming through the split time, will he be up on his time? I'm sure his new tyres will be happy. Yes, he is, by 0.2 of a second. Once again, purple middle sector. An incredible lap so far from Carl, but he runs it wide there as he goes through the start of the final sector. He's going to have to make sure he keeps it nice, tight and clean as he comes through these corners now. Otherwise, he's going to have so many issues. Let's ride on board and see what the traction's like as he comes through here. It looks like he's just keeping it nice and soft on the throttle. Doesn't want to cause himself too many issues as he chucks into the second to last corner now. The line looks brilliant for him. 1 more corner now. Can he chuck it in and get on pole position or anywhere near the front? It's a good line through the final corner. He comes across the line now. It's a 42.1 speed. He can't quite do that, but it is a 42.4. Improves to P3. Great lap from Carl. What can everybody else do in response? Selly on an out lap. Percy about to start his lap now. Is Lucas Percy. Let's see what he can do, as he is the man who's in the top 3 it was. Now he's in, of course, top 4. He's one of the heavy hitters. Let's see what he can do. What about everybody else, though? Igor starting his lap as well, going through turn number 2 and 3 as he chucks it through this section of track now. What about the Red Bull drivers? Limitless is up by 0.2 of a second also, as we have some drivers starting to cross the line now. The times will start to chop and change, I'm sure, now. As Limitless, he comes through the middle sector split. Is he up on his time? Yes, he is by 0.3 of a second. This is more like it from Limitless. He wants to get into the top 5, and this is the type of time he needs to do to be able to do that now. He needs a good final sector, though. Otherwise, he's not going to be getting into the top 5 times. Let's ride on board and see. This is the right-hander where he loses the back end so frequently, it seems, in that Red Bull. He keeps a nice, tight line there. Much different to what the other drivers are doing. What can he do as he goes into this? Easily able to run wide here. He doesn't do that, though. Keeps it nice and tight as he comes across the line now. This potentially could be the final lap for Limitless. As he comes across the line, what potentially can it be? It's a 42.6, and that puts him into the top 5. I'm sure he'll be happy with that if he stays there. But we've got some other drivers. Look at that, though. Psycho's already invalidated, as has Kingsman. So potentially could be their final runs, as has Volcano too. Not been the best qualifying for him. Let's see, though, is Selly. He's coming across the line soon as well to go through this. Look at that, though. Ego up by 0.5 of a second for Eagle. This could put him... No, actually, he's backed out. He's backed out of his time, so he's wanting to do one more lap, I believe, as he gets out of the way of Lucas. Let's see what time he's up by 0.3 of a second. This could be close to pole position for Lucas. Comes around the final corner now, number 88 on the Alpine. Comes around the final corner, guns it for the line, runs it slightly wide. Can he get pole position? Yes, he can. It's a 41.9, first man into the 41s. Great time from him. Selly up by 0.2 in the first sector as well. He'll see that pop up on his screen, and he'll want revenge on that, as will Gatkowski in P3. What can Selly do then as we come to the end of the long back straight? Chucks it into the left-hander, uses as much curb as he dares in these conditions. Comes through the split time now. He's up by 0.3. He just needs to keep it nice and composed, and this will put him back in the most familiar spot for him this season. 4 pole positions already for the AlphaTauri driver. Can he make it 5 on what could be the day where he gets crowned Tier 1 champion? Goes into the long right-handed corners now. This is where he can lose so much time, but he keeps it nice and tight and nice together for the curbs. Hopefully, Gatkowski will get out of the way, as he does. No problems there. Going through the final corner now. Selly, the man who's just been so dominant this season in qualifying. Can he make it 5 pole positions at the moment as he comes across the line? Yes, he can. A 41.6. Incredible time. More time made up in that final sector. Gatkowski will want something to say about that, though, as will Limitless, who goes P4 with that as well. Another good time from him, and he's got back ahead of Carl, who's up again by 0.2 of a second. Limitless in P4 as the lap times will now be coming thick and fast at the moment. What about Volcano? He's on a lap at the moment too. Carl up by what, 0.07 of a second. So with that, he's only just going to get himself back ahead of Limitless at the moment as Zorzo retires from the session. So hopefully for his sake, he can get a bit more time through this final sector. Otherwise, Limitless will have taken that P4 from him on the spot on that second row. So as Carl now comes around the last few corners, have a Mercedes ahead of us as well of Ego. He's up by 0.4 of a second. What can he do? He's going to want a much better time here. This will put him in the top 5 or so as he comes across the line. He can't improve though, and that means Carl is the man to look at the moment. He goes P2. What a time from him. Made it all up in the final sector. Incredible time. What about Gatkowski then? Up by 0.2 of a second. He needs to find more if he can get onto the front row of the grid after that incredible time from Carl, very much a qualifying specialist. As he goes through now, Gatkowski, what time can he do through the middle sector? Up by 0.4 of a second. If he gets gains like that in the final sector as well, he will be fighting for pole position. What can he do though? Surely the only man who can take this time away from Selly, as we see Psycho come around the final corner. Kingsman overtakes him for this time and this time only, but he comes across the line now. P4, great time from him to take Limitless back off that time. And like I say, Gatkowski now comes through the second to last corner. He needs to keep it on the track as he does. This surely is the only man now who can take pole position away from Selly 360. Comes around the final corner now. Guns it for the line. Can he do it? Yes, he does. A 41.5. What a time from him. And he nabs pole position away from Selly 360 right at the death. And Limitless into the pit lane. And that masterclass from K. Gatkowski, as Rudy said would be incoming, does hit. And he gets pole position from Selly 360 from the slenderest of margins, just under 0.1 of a second. An incredible qualifying session. And Gatkowski takes pole position. If this race was to finish this way now, he would pull this championship through to the next round. But at the moment, like I say, what a lap from Gatkowski to finish on pole position. Of course, followed by Selly 360 and Carl. I'm sure he'll be happy with that in the end after all the trials and tribulations of the session. Lucas as well in P4, I'm sure he'll be happy with that too. 200ths behind Carl, followed by Psycho Limitless, who's been a bit nowhere in the last few races, gets P6. I'm sure he'll be happy to just have a good qualifying session and get himself up there. Followed by Kingsman in the system, McLaren, Walcott in 8th. Volcano, though, only down in P9, as is Igor too. Had so many issues the last few races of those drivers, and that's shown in this qualifying session. But like I say, Gatkowski nabs pole position at the end away from Selly 360. And then it is followed by Carl, Lucas, Mr. Psycho Limitless in the Red Bull, Kingsman in the McLaren, Walcott in 8th for the Williams Racing Team. Volcano, the Aston Martin driver, led so much of the race last time out, and unfortunately down in P9. And then Igor brings out the top 10 in the Mercedes, then followed by Laser, Zorzo, Flo, and Stefano rounds out the 14-man grid here at the circuit of the Americas. But what a qualifying session we have had here as Stefano leaves the session. Hopefully he's back in for the race. But like I say, Gatkowski getting that pole position, nabbing it away from Selly 360 right at the death. And this sets us up for an incredible race to see as we load into the session now. Please tell me in the description down below, guys, who you think will win this race here at the Circuit of the Americas. But at the moment, as it is absolutely lashing down for the race as well, look at that. It's just rain upon rain upon rain. Surely it's going to be full wets. Maybe potentially some drivers will try the intermediates, but from what I can see at the moment, it looks to me like it is going to be full wet conditions. I could be wrong though, of course. Just one man's opinion. Let's see. Let's see what the tyres will be picked at the moment. But like I say, Selly 360, the man who can win the championship today. Simple facts are, if he outscores Kay Gatkowski, he will win the Tier 1 championship tonight at the Circuit of the Americas. So, as we wait for the drivers to ready up, wait for the drivers to pick what tyres they go for, wait for the drivers to pick which lap they pit, wait for the drivers to get their starts ready. We wait patiently for what could be potentially one of the best races of the season. Rain always creates what seems to be chaos, but with these Tier 1 drivers, some of the best in the world, I'm sure we'll see some of the best racing. As the lights come on now at the Circuit of the Americas, is this the crowning moment for Selly? As the lights go out now, and we see, look at the car so gingerly get away, but it looks to me like Gatkowski had a good start in the end. Let's see though, he covers the inside now as you see Selly trying around the outside, Limitless down the inside as well. And look at that bit of contact behind. Carl seems to have lost it. He keeps it together potentially though. Limitless had a bad start though, but Gatkowski at the front keeps ahead of Selly, but he is right behind the Mercedes driver. We see behind that as well some cars going here, there and everywhere as they go through the S's section. Looks like Gatkowski always under pressure already at the moment from Selly 360. Lucas goes into P3, Carl in P4. Limitless though with that bad start down into P9. Volcano gets up a place into P8, and it looks at this moment, see Williams going around the outside of the McLaren there, or it should be the McLaren going around the outside of the Williams, should I say. Walcott though up into P6, great start from him. Psycho in P5, Carl up into P4. We see some battling in the background there as well, as we see down the inside goes the McLaren driver, bit of contact, and that's meant that Volcano goes down the inside of both of them potentially. As he gets on the throttle now, we see some drivers. Igor had a terrible start at the back, down into P14 and away from the grid. But it looks at the moment that the drivers at the front are fighting for the lead. Yes, they are. Selly trying to go around the outside of his championship rival. Can he do it around the outside of the long back straight? He's now got the inside of the next corner. Surely he's going to get the inside line here and take the lead of the Grand Prix. But it's still side by side going through the start of the final sector, and that's meant that Gatkowski now has the inside for the long corners. But look at that switchback from Selly, and he's been able to get the race lead. But then another switchback from Gatkowski. Incredible racing here at the Circuit of the Americas. He goes around the outside of the long right-hander. Surely he cannot do that, but he does. And he keeps the race lead for the moment. Incredible racing as we go through the end of lap 1. And we have 27 more laps of this to come, guys. So don't go anywhere. But this has meant that Lucas is now right on the back of the AlphaTauri driver as we end the first lap. And Carl wants to be there as well. But it looks to me at the moment like Selly is a man who wants to get that race lead at the moment as Gatkowski goes defensive once more. Will Selly try the switchback as we go through turn 1. I think he might, but he can't quite get the traction as we go through now into the start of the S's section. No overtaking through here, so let's see what the rest of the drivers are doing, and let's get the tyres on board as well. But like I said before, I thought it would be wet weather tyres, but it actually is intermediate. We can see at the back there as well, some of the drivers fighting flow on Igor too, but it looks like everyone's seemingly settling down now as we go through end of the first sector. Not much overtaking there, but Gatkowski, like I say, not pulling away at the moment from Selly 360, but I'm sure he'll be happy with the fact that there's no DRS at the moment. Will the rain stay with us for the rest of the race? We don't know at the moment, but I'm sure we'll find out. And look at the field starting to slowly spread out, and you see Selly, he is trying to do everything he can to get past Gatkowski. Is this going to be round 2? Yes, it is. He tries round the outside, has more straight line speed, but Gatkowski better on the brakes, locks up the front wheels. Hopefully he doesn't go into him. No, he keeps the position for now. Will Selly potentially try and go down the inside into the next corner? Yes, he does. And Gatkowski caught napping there, or maybe he's trying to play the long game around the outside. Yes, he is for the inside now. Will Selly attempts the next switchback move that he did last lap. No, he does not. He tries to go around the outside, but Gatkowski defends it well. And once again, Gatkowski under pressure, but does not crumble. But Selly 360 is on the warpath here at the Circuit of the Americas in Texas. It doesn't feel like a Texas day, because at the moment it feels to me like it's absolutely chucking it down, and will do for the rest of the race as some of the drivers start to go wide. And like I say, incredible racing so far from everybody throughout the grid. Not too much, as Stefano already gets a 3-second time penalty, not something he's going to want to see, as Flo potentially gets past the AlphaTauri at the moment. Gatkowski with the fastest lap of the race, but as you can see, Selly again right on the back of the Mercedes driver. Will he go for the switchback move? Potentially could get that, but again just doesn't quite get the traction through turn 1 as they go downhill towards the S's section. And surely now Gatkowski will be safe for at least another sector as they go through now. Gatkowski, a bit of lag there. Hopefully that's not going to cause any issues. We see Kingsman go down the inside of Volcano, who must have made a mistake there. But at the moment everything seems to be settling down. You can see Limitless right on the back of Volcano again, and I'm sure he's going to want to try and do everything he can to get past these cars and up a few positions after so many struggles in the last few races. Igor gets a 3-second time penalty as well, not something you want to see. Look at the drivers out front, not pulling away too much at the moment. The top 4, like I said, they were in the league of their own in qualifying the top 4, and once they get in the race they seem to be pulling away from the McLaren pair. Let's ride on board now and see. Will Selly potentially go around the outside? I think he will. Oh, a bit of contact between the championship rivals there. Will that cause any more issues? We see riding on board now with Lucas. We see Selly and Gatkowski going side by side once more. Volcano gets a 3-second time penalty, and that's not going to help his cause. But again, Selly bumps and barges his way through, and Gatkowski surely has nothing to answer for on this one. But will he try and go down the inside? Yes, he does. And it looks to me like he's got the position back, but no, they're side by side once more as Selly tries to go for another switchback move around the outside. Can he make that happen? We know there's more grip on the outside. Gatkowski wants none of it though, goes defensive. Selly still side by side with him though. No, he doesn't quite get through. Bit of contact between them, and it's still fair racing, and he still cannot get through on the Mercedes driver. Incredible racing as we start lap 4 now, as we got a yellow flag in sector 3. Looks like the AlphaTauri Stefano is off. Will that be potentially a safety car? No, I think he just spun it, so I think we should be fine now. But what about Selly? Will he try and go for the dummy? Yes, he does, down the inside. Can he get the move done as we go through into turn 1 now? Gatkowski's still on the outside. Will he get the better traction? Once again, incredible defending from K. Gatkowski, and no matter what Selly 360 does, he cannot get through on the inside. Absolutely incredible racing all around, and it looks to me like Selly, of course, has the more pace at the moment. But look at Gatkowski, look at the amount of energy he has left. Selly 360 does not have that. You can see from the helicopter cam, Selly seems to be pushing him through the first sector. As we've got another yellow flag in the middle of sector 1, it looks to me like one of the Williams of Walcott, who was having an incredible race, has actually dropped it, and it's down his P13. Such a shame to see, as he got a virtual safety car, which has saved Gatkowski's bacon for the moment. But Selly, he's going to be able to now, of course, get his ERS back up, as we see a bit of overtaking going on. As Lucas, actually, I missed that, I do apologise. Lucas must have spun in the Alpine and hit the wall, and because of that, he's got no front wing and is now down into P8. I was so focused on the leading 2 drivers that Lucas was having an incredible race so far, down into P8, and that is such a shame for the Alpine driver, who had a brilliant start, brilliant qualifying, and that has put him down the field now. He's going to have to go into the pits, I'm sure, and see really what is going to happen with the rest of his race. But like I say, look at that, Selly, he wants none of this. He wants to get ahead as much as possible. Look at that, really trying to cause issues with the Mercedes driver. Surely the safety car will be coming in sooner rather than later as the driver starts to try and really push themselves through. Yes, it's a go green now, and Selly's got Gatkowski napping. Can he go down the inside as he goes through the long right-handed corner? It looks like he's trying to, but again, Gatkowski just has incredible defending. Oh, a bit of a push, bit of a bump, bit of a barge between the two drivers. But once more, Selly cannot get through on the inside. Laser gets through on Percy, of course, who has no front wing to say for it. As we go towards turn 1 now, Selly once more right on the back of the Mercedes driver. But as you can see, Gatkowski, who surely is using some of his energy now, he's just pulling away on the straights. But Selly just has so much more confidence going into the rest of the braking zone. So it'll be interesting to see now, as I'm sure these drivers potentially could do a no-stopper. But like I say, on these conditions and these intermediates, because it looks like the rain is stopping, surely they will be going to dry tyres sooner rather than later. Like I say, thank you everybody for watching us here tonight, as we see potentially the championship decided. But at the moment, as the moment it stands, Gatkowski will be pulling this championship closer and closer to the final races as we go through now. And like I say, you can just see the difference in energy. Look at that, 95% for Gatkowski, only 37% for that of Selly 360. So let's ride on board now with the AlphaTauri driver. What can he do? As throughout the field, some battling I'm sure will start to entail. He tries to go around the outside, can't quite manage it there, but again he gets pushed wide. Will he try and potentially go around the inside? No, he does not. Thinks better of it at the moment, as we've got some more battling going on behind. But this is the battle we really want to focus on at the moment for the lead, for the championship. Selly potentially throws a dummy there to try and go down the inside, but Gatkowski again, so calm, so cool, so collected under the brakes, defending for his life, fighting for his life, fighting for the victory. And like I say, we're about to finish lap 5. It looks to me like once more Gatkowski seems to have this under control. He dealt with the onslaught from Selly, as we see a bit more overtaking going on further down. Look at that side-by-side action between the McLaren and the Aston Martin. Great racing between the two. Has Zorzo got past? Yes, he has. And Kingsman, at a great start of the race, is now falling through the field, it seems. Limitless is now right on the back of Volcano, of course, who has that 3-second time penalty, and Mr. Psycho also as well. Right there with Volcano. Carl in a bit of a race of his own at the moment, but I'm sure he'll be happy with this P3 in these conditions, and you never know if these two come together at the front, Gatkowski and Selly, that could put Carl in prime position. Just needs to keep out of trouble at the moment. Like I say, these three cars not separated by much at the moment. Like I say, overtaking so hard, of course, without DRS, but the rain does seem to be easing up slowly but surely. Oh, but look at that! The Aston Martin and the Red Bull almost losing it into the barriers. Kind of synchronised swimming there from the two of them, and that's allowed Mr. Psycho to get away slightly. Limitless now will want to really get on the back of Volcano and dispatch him as soon as possible, considering he has that 3-second time penalty. As we look at the rest of the drivers down the grid too, see the Haas driver of Laser and Igor in a battle there too. Will they potentially have a bit of a ding-dong as we go through? Two drivers who definitely will, though, is Zorzo and Kingsman. Once again, Kingsman tries to go around the outside, locks up the front wheel, as speaking of which, Zorzo, I think, does the same, and that's caused a bit of issue for him. Will he try and defend it going into the next corner? Yes, he does. Will Kingsman go for the old switcheroo as he go through the final sector now into the slow sweeping corners where so much racing can actually be done and so much good overtaking? Let's see now as Kingsman, will he try and get a better exit out of the corner? He does, but he just doesn't seem to quite have the grip at the moment to get around the outside of Zorzo in the Aston Martin. Go through the final few corners now. Oh, see that Zorzo goes very wide there as Gatkowski was the fastest after the race. He's starting to check out the front now after dealing with that early onslaught. But Kingsman, like we say, right on the back of the Aston Martin now, will use his overtake. I'm sure will try and go around the outside, or maybe the inside. No, it's going to be the outside for the McLaren driver. What can he do as it go through towards turn 1 now? Zorzo tries to keep the car ahead, but it looks at the moment with Kingsman. Will he try and get the better exit? Yes, he does, around the outside as we go through the first sector. Oh, as the Aston Martin almost loses it into the McLaren. Thankfully does not, but Kingsman, great move from him as Lucas gets the fastest lap at the moment after pitting for fresh intermediates and a fresh front wing, which put him really out of the race at the moment. He's really needing a safety car to get back in this. But like I say, great move from Kingsman, and he's now surely going to try and get on top as we see a yellow flag. Is that for Eagle? Yes, it is. Into the barrier once more, and that is front wing damage for the Mercedes driver, and it is not the race that he's going to want to remember. as we go through now. He's going to have to pit surely for a new front wing. As we see once more now, Volcano and Limitless right on the back of the Aston Martin driver. Will he try and go down the inside? He looks to the inside, locks up the wheels, and that's kind of spooked Volcano a little bit, but he's not actually been pushed off the road there. Just doesn't seem to have the pace as Volcano this weekend. And Limitless, a man who's won 2 Grand Prix victories this season, people seem to forget that and write him off quite easily. Yes, he's had a few bad races, but we know he can race well. So let's see if he can get past Volcano as well, as we see Selly now starting to close that gap once more on Gatkowski at the front. Gatkowski's had his fun, as we see some more battling in behind, and the Williams and the Red Bull racing car start to go side by side, and it looks like a good move from Flo around the outside. Yes, it is. Let's go back on board with Gatkowski. As you see that, look at that. Selly now starting to really kind of push back through. Potentially could go through there. As you see Selly really starting to push those tyres now. The rain doesn't seem to be stopping too quickly, so we could see an intermediate race until the end. I'm sure we'll be expecting something more as Eagle gets a 3-second time penalty. The multiple warnings comes into the pit lane and a 5-second penalty speed, and will he retire from the session? Potentially we'll see that coming in. Yes, he does. Selly, like we said, right on the back there as a Limitless once more. Look at that through the first sector. Just has so much more confidence in that Red Bull as Kingsman gets a 3-second time penalty. That is massive for him. Really fighting for a good position there with him and Zorzo, but unfortunately 3-second time penalty is going to make a massive difference. As Limitless, will he potentially get moved down the inside? No, he does not quite get it. Of course, Limitless and Volcano have had their comings together this season. Let's not forget Silverstone, where Volcano crashed into Limitless with only a handful of laps to go. Took them both really out of contention, so Limitless is going to want some revenge here, try and get an overtake on track. But once again, Volcano just seems to have that straight line speed on the Red Bull driver as we go through. Look at that, look how much confidence Limitless has in the slower speed corners, but on the straights, Volcano just has too much power. As Carl gets a 3-second time penalty again, that's not what he needs to do, he's running his own race. It's things like that that's costing Carl podiums, costing Carl victories, as Walcott and Flo have another battle out towards the back for the last few points paying positions. Flo potentially trying to go around the outside of the Williams driver, can't quite get the job done. But like I say, Carl, that 3-second time penalty, like I say, running a bit of a race of his own, but just too many faults, too many problems with the Haas driver. And look at that, Limitless almost pushing Volcano through the final corner now, but once again, as we go onto the main straight, you can just see he just doesn't have the straight line speed. Goes towards turn 1 now, will he potentially try and go down for a dive bomb? No, he does not do it, thinks better of it for the moment, but we'll see now as we go through sector 1. We're going to see a lot of people start to close in, and Limitless will be one of them as he goes through now. Look at how much more confidence he has going through this first sector in this Red Bull car. The setup clearly more tailored for the corners and not for the straights. He's almost closing in car length by car length as the corners come thick and fast for Limitless. Goes through now. But like I say, when it comes to these straights here, as he gets a sank slapper on the exit as well, that's not going to help his cause. But like I say, he's just not quite able to get close enough to Volcano, who's actually starting to really close in on Mr. Psycho now, must be said as well, in the McLaren. But it looks at the moment like Limitless, as you can see, he just falls away as the straight comes in front of him. And Volcano really starting to close in actually on Mr. Psycho. Will he potentially go for a move on the McLaren driver to go towards the next left-hand corner? No, thinks better of it. Again, he's just catching himself in a bit of no man's land, his Volcano. Selly once more as well, starting to close back in on K. Gatkowski. Like we said, Gatkowski needs to win this race if he wants to get this championship going any further on into the season. If not, Selly 360 will be crowned Tier 1 champion for Flashpoint this season. So, imminent Season 4 champion is chasing Gatkowski. Can Gatkowski do anything about this? With, of course, Cucumber not being here tonight. Carl, though, look at that. He goes so wide. He's losing time, and he's also going to get himself more penalties. He just does not need to be doing that. It's just going to cause him so many issues. As you see there, Mr. Psycho almost loses it. But again, under threat from the Aston Martin and Volcano. Volcano closes in with straight line speed. Will he try and go down the inside? Yes, he does. And that is a brilliant move down the inside, unless Psycho can hold it around the outside with better traction on the Aston Martin driver. But he does not do that. What a move from Volcano. Goes up into P4 And that is brilliant racing from him. Can Limitless do anything about this now as well? Can he get through on Mr. Psychos? We see some more overtaking happening. Lucas, of course, with more pace, fresher tyres, gets through up into P10 now. But like we say, great racing all around at the moment. Great move from Volcano. Mr. Psycho had to have the wits about him to not turn into turn 1. But he didn't. And thankfully, there was no contact between the two. But this is surely going to put Mr. Psycho right on the back of him to go through now onto the long back straight, because he has 92% ERS compared to Volcano's 24. Will he start to use it now? Yes, he does. Will he close that gap to the Aston Martin ahead? I think he's more going to try and wet his tyres now, try and keep them. But the rain has definitely stopped now, so we will be expecting dry tyres to come in anytime soon. And if I was somebody like Selly360, if I was somebody like Limitless, I would be looking to try and get an undercut on these drivers and get them softer tyres on, dry tyres on as quickly as possible. That is wait to be seen though, of course. It's like I say, Selly still not being let go by K. Gatkowski. As we see Selly, look at the amount of opposite lock he had to put on there in the AlphaTauri. So hard to control these cars in these conditions, but still another masterclass from the man who is leading the championship at the moment to keep it there in P2 at the moment. But what can be said about K. Gatkowski? Brilliant race from him so far, brilliant qualifying as well. Got more ERS, got more pace it seems at the moment, but these two are so closely matched. It'll be intriguing to see what can happen as the rain has stopped, and I'm sure the dry tyres will be getting ready from the teams. Who's going to be the first person to make the switch onto a soft compound of tyres and potentially get undercuts on everybody else in the field? And of course, who wouldn't want to be in this is K. Gatkowski, but he does do a purple first sector. Like I say, you wouldn't want to be him because he doesn't know what Selly's going to do. He's going to have to really stick to his decision now. He has to stick to stay out, or he's going to come into the pits and have to stick with that decision as well. But he seems to be pulling away at the moment ever so slightly. He's put a purple first sector in, and the track is definitely coming to the drivers now. Volcano pulling away, trying to get closer and closer to Carl. Both of them are 3-second time penalties, so at the moment it would actually be Mr. Psycho who gets the P3 on the podium. And look at that, they're really starting to close in on Carl now, as is Limitless. I'm sure he'll be desperate to get back on the podium as after some horrid races for the Red Bull driver. Can he get some more points on the board, get to the 100 point mark for the end of the race? It's Selly360 losing quite a bit of time now to K. Gatkowski. Is this the lap they start to come into the pits? We know it can change so quickly in the track conditions here on F123. So long right-handed corner to go now, and potentially we could see some drivers coming into the pit lane now. This is where the strategy really comes into it. What about Gatkowski? What will he do? Will he come into the pit lane? No, he goes out for one more lap. What about Selly360? Still out for another lap, so not ready for those drivers yet. What about Carl? Will he potentially try and jump into the pit lane and do something different as Gatkowski does the fastest lap of the race? Like I say, the track is really coming to these drivers now, and they stay out for at least one more lap. So the tyres are not quite there yet, not quite in territory of getting a soft compound of tyres on, dry compound of tyres on. But one man who is doing that is ANL Walcott, and he's put the hard tyres on, interestingly, as Lucas comes into the pit as well. And it looks at the moment like there's not a lot of pace in it, but again it looks as well like there's not too much in between the tyres, so potentially could come into the pit. And what tyres is it going to be for Lucas? Yes, it is medium tyres, so he's going to want to try and get an undercut on the likes of Flo, on the likes of Laser and Zorzo as well, as the drivers out front start to space themselves away from each other slightly. But at the front it's a two-horse race at the moment between Gatkowski and Selly360. But let's ride on board with Lucas and see what the grip is like. Doesn't look too bad at the moment. It looks very much similar to intermediate weather. Once more struggling to get that throttle down, so maybe it was a little bit too soon. Of course, Lucas had nothing to lose after that crash at the start of the race. Doesn't look too bad on those medium tyres, but again, it could be a case of being on the right tyres at the right time can really win not only a race, but for Selly360 a championship as well. So let's see as we come through the long right-handed corner once more on lap 12 of this 28-lap Grand Prix. Will Gatkowski come into the pits now as he comes round the second to last corner? No, he stays out for one. No, he does come into the pits, so yes, he thinks it's ready for it. Is Selly coming in as well? Yes, he does. So no undercuts being done between those drivers. I'm sure we'll see all these drivers come into the pits now as well, as Gatkowski does a fast lap. What on earth was that from Carl? He goes right far away out of the track. as Gatkowski actually managed to do a fast lap of the race whilst coming into the pits. It says it all. Gatkowski on the hard tyres. What about Selly? What tyres he put? He's been on the medium tyres. So interesting to see from these drivers. This could be a race-winning decision from either of these two. Of course, Selly will have more pace on those mediums, but also as well, Gatkowski, of course, will have the more durability. So interesting to see now what's going to happen between these two. What about the other drivers? Volcano on hard tyres, Kingsman on hard tyres, Carl on the mediums, Selly, like I said, on mediums as well, Laser on mediums. What about Limitless, who stayed out? Interesting decision. Surely he'll lose a bit of time there. But Mr. Psycho and Limitless both stay out. So let's see what tyres they put on as the rest of the grid come through. Selly, like I say, only a second behind now, already closing. Look at the gap he's closing in already. Those medium tyres so much better than the hard tyres. But maybe now we have to think of Gatkowski playing a longer game, because at the moment, if Selly overtakes Gatkowski, that will be the championship for him. He opens up the DRS now. What will the AlphaTauri driver be able to do? Will he close in this lap? Look at the track, it's basically bone dry now. No, he's actually lifting off, I think. Yes, he is. Slow gets 3 seconds time, but potentially trying to save some ERS there. He's selling 360. Let's see what Limitless and Psycho do those. They come through into the pits now, but look at that, 0.6 of a second between these drivers now. So you can just see the difference in the warm-up between the mediums and the hard tyres. Let's see what kind of pace Gatkowski has when he gets those tyres up to temperature. The drivers already have so much more confidence, so much more grip throughout the rest of this lap. And they come into the pits now, but again, Limitless and Psycho, they seem to have made the complete wrong decision in terms of a strategy call. Psycho is the fastest lap going into the pit lane, of course, as the track is as bone dry as it possibly can be. Coming across the line now, Gatkowski, though. He has got Selly 360 right on his tail. Will Selly go potentially for a move into turn 1? No, he actually lifts off throttle again, trying to save ERS, trying to save battery. And Gatkowski under attack already as Mr. Psycho and Limitless hit for hards and mediums respectively. As you can see there, already so much further behind the drivers because they did not come in. And what that's done is put Kingsman a bit closer to these drivers too, as Lucas is the fastest lap of 41.0. As Gatkowski once more coming through the first set, just doesn't seem to have the grip on those hard tyres, and surely we will see Selly come steaming past at some point in this race. Whether we'll then see Gatkowski come back through on the more durable hard tyres is something to be seen. But we'll come on to the long back straight now. What kind of straight line speed does Selly 360 have with the DRS, which of course has now been enabled? Doesn't look like he's going to be close enough as we go towards the end of the long back straight now. You can see him start to kind of hide underneath the rear wing, starts to come closer to us, but again lifts off the throttle, does not quite have pace in the AlphaTauri at the moment, straight line speed, to do anything about the Mercedes driver. Go through the final sector now. It's so good to see a real race for the victory here, as we're about to end halfway through the race now and start the second half up to lap 15. Great first 15 laps. Like so, this race for the victory, race for the championship is definitely not over yet. So, fastest lap for Gatkowski. Carl gets another 3 second time penalty. I'm not sure what he's doing at the moment as he does the fastest lap. Again, Carl just doesn't seem to have his head on the straight at the moment. He seems to be causing a lot of issues for himself more than anything, as him and Volcano get closer and closer to each other. But look at this now. We'll see Selly, as we go through the laser, gets the fastest lap of 37.9. Great lap from him. But we'll see these drivers now start to close in on each other. But again, you can just see how much more confidence Selly has in the corner, but with the dirty air can't quite get close enough on those medium tyres. Like I say, at the moment it's them and Limitless on the back of Mr. Psycho, which could be the moves to look out for. Coming to the end now, this back section of the circuit, coming back towards the front, and again Selly just not quite close enough at the moment to cause himself any overtakes. Again, look at that now, you can just see he's really just playing his time now. He's starting to really make sure he has enough ERS saved. He uses the DRS to his advantage to stay within there, pull himself closer but not have to use any of his energy. Al as well, followed by Volcano, and again Limitless right on the back of the McLaren driver, can't quite get through at the moment. we say, the main battle at the moment is between these two, between the championship contenders, Kay Gatkowski and Selly 360. As we start lap 16, fastest lap from Gatkowski, instantly done up by Selly 360 on 36.7. Will he potentially go for a move down the inside here? No, he thinks better of it as Carl does another fastest lap as well, 36 flat, followed by another fastest lap from Volcano. So these two battling is really letting the rest of the field pull in, but they have that 7.4 second cushion, and of course the penalties on top of that as well. So Gatkowski once again through the start of the lap getting pulled in by Selly 360. The gap is only 0.3 of a second now as Flo gets another 3-second time penalty for track limits. Look at that, look how much Selly can really cut that curb on the inside. That's something that Gatkowski's not been able to do so far in the Mercedes car. As we go through now the left-handed corner just before the long back straight, let's see if Selly gets close enough for an overtake now. He's got enough ERS to utilise, enough to use. Will he open that DRS and go for it? I don't think he is doing it at the moment. No, he's just using that DRS to pull himself closer and closer and closer. Could potentially go for that move this lap though, will he, as he goes down the inside? Yes, I think he does. He goes down the inside. Not a lot of fighting from Gatkowski. I think he understands that his race is now towards the end of the Grand Prix, so he wants to stay within Selly's train tracks and really make sure that he can get that DRS and pull him further forward. But Selly is potentially could have just made a championship winning move there on lap number 16, as we see Laser and Zorzo, a bit of battling going on there as well between the two drivers. Limitless as well, can't quite get past Mr. Psycho in that McLaren too. Like I say, at the moment, Gatkowski, who stays within the DRS of Selly 360, has been overtaken, and that could be championship gone unless he can do something about it now. Opens the DRS. Doesn't look like he's going to get a move going into turn 1 now, as we start lap number 17 of the Grand Prix, as Carl does another fastest lap of the race. Actually taking the gap down by what, a second to the car in front. If he didn't have those penalties, that could have been an amazing bit of pace for Carl on those medium tyres, but unfortunately he does. Okay, Gatkowski, look at that, right on the back of the AlphaTauri driver, and looking at that now, he has a lot of pace, so maybe the driver in second place is really being pulled through that first sector, potentially seeing Selly try and save his tyres, potentially, of course, being on those mediums, but like I say, Gatkowski, some brilliant pace there in the Mercedes car. Looking at that now, will he try and go through for another overtake on the AlphaTauri driver, or will he play the longer game? He's right within the wheel tracks now of the AlphaTauri. Will he try and get back through? No, he goes out of the slipstream. He does not want to do that, as we've got a yellow flag. That potentially could be a safety car, and it is indeed. It's a safety car for these drivers. What do they do now? Will they pit for fresher tyres? Surely you see some drivers take that gamble, and it's Lucas, who had a terrible start to the race after that damage, who's crashed out of the race. And you can just see him on the right hand side there, I think put it in the wall. Such a shame to see that, but that has put the safety car out now, and that has thrown a spanner in the works. Will we see Selly and will we see Gatkowski and potentially put some soft tyres on to their cars? What about the rest of the drivers? Carl, will he stay out? Will Volcano stay out? Will Psycho stay out? Limitless, Kingsman, Laser and Zorzo, followed by Flo and Walcott, the last 11 racers in the lobby now. Let's see what these drivers do. Selly 360 comes into the pit lane. He's putting soft tyres on, as does Gatkowski. I think they understand now that it's all about putting soft tyres on, and after that overtake is now done for him. Of course, Gatkowski was playing the long game. Surely now, if they both put softer tyres on, but no, Gatkowski I think is actually putting on another set of medium tyres. Yes, it is. Medium tyres for him. What about Selly 360? Yes, medium tyres for him as well. Carl into the pit lane now. Will he try and go for a softer compound? Yes, he does. Always an aggressive strategy for Carl in the Haas. Volcano, medium tyres. He gets held a slight bit there. Mr. Psycho on them hard tyres. Limitless in the pit lane as well. It looks like it's soft for him. Yes, it is. So it's either mediums or soft for these drivers. But like you say, Gatkowski now, who got overtaken just before that safety car came out, he's now going to be having issues, of course, to get back past his championship rival. But he needs to do so if he wants to win this championship in Tier 1. The rest of the drivers come out now. Walcott going past Flo into the pit lane. Let's see what tyres these guys put on. Flo gets back past on soft tyres. Walcott on the mediums. So we've got a bit of a differing strategies from these guys. Of course, we expect to see Carl and of course Limitless very fast on those tyres. But two drivers who this definitely has not helped is Carl and Volcano, because, oh, as you see, almost there, Selly almost hits the safety car, which could have caused him a lot of issues there. Like I say, two drivers that this is not favouring at all is Carl and Volcano, who of course have those penalties. Carl have more than I believe most at the moment. Let's see what the penalties are at the moment. Let's see, fastest lap lies with Carl as well at the moment with 35.7. Expect to see those times beaten potentially by the soft runners, but 6 seconds for Carl, so that would put him way down at the moment. 3 seconds for Volcano and Kingston, and then Flo with that 9-second worth of penalties. Not what you want to see, but I believe the safety car will be out for potentially at least another lap as the drivers towards the back don't pull through at the moment. But like I say, 2 stops for the drivers. Some of the drivers, should I say. As we go through now, potentially safety car could come in. Don't think it will, because they've still got 2 drivers at the back who are waiting to get through. And yes, like we suspected, safety car is out for at least one more lap at the moment. Gatkowski can see his championship rival ahead of him. He wants to get this race going. He wants to get an overtake done on Selly 360. Sorry in the comments, we wanted a K Gatkowski masterclass apparently, and it seemed to be so until he got overtaken just a few laps ago, just before the safety car came out. As Walcott in the pits as well, as he potentially got some damage behind the safety car. Potentially could have happened. And for his case, he has not, or maybe he just wants to put some soft compound tyres on. As we're going to the pit lane now, yes, I believe it is. It is just to put some soft compound tyres on. Don't blame him. What else does he have to lose in that Williams car? Like I say, it is Selly 360, championship leader, the man who's won 5 of the 9 races so far this season. Such a familiar position for him. Not only has he won 5 of the 9 races this season, he's also had so many podiums. He's had another 2nd place, another 3rd place. He's only been off the podium 2 times in this championship with 4 pole positions, absolutely dominant. So let's see what he can do now, as surely the safety car will be in this lap. Championship leader who just needs to outscore Gatkowski to claim his championship. Long back straight now. Like I say, feel free to comment down below what you think will happen in these last 10 laps. The sun is shining, sun is beaming now here at the Circuit of the Americas. We are waiting for the safety car to come in so we can see the culmination of this brilliant race so far. Started where you wouldn't think so with how the track is at the moment. We are expecting to see some overtakes. We're expecting to see do or die battles. Of course, Selly has it all to lose and Gatkowski has it all to gain. So as the safety car comes in this lap, you see Selly now to really back up the pack, wants to give the safety car as much time as possible to get into that pit lane so he can make sure, of course, that he can go whenever he pleases in that AlphaTauri. We go through now, waiting and waiting for Selly to put the throttle down and see what kind of restart he gets now. Still slowly, not wanting to push the tyres too much. He wants to give the safety car enough time to get in the pits. As he comes into the pits now, so he will officially have control, and he goes as early as possible. As he goes through, look at that, uses his ERS, and that potentially caught the guys napping. Yes, it has. Gatkowski was not expecting that. What about the other drivers as well? The only people that seem to be really pushing for this now is Kingsman in the McLaren, who's of course on the harder tyres, but he's really caught Limitless napping now. But what about Gatkowski? Will he potentially try and get a move as we go down towards the inside now? As the safety car cuts through, and we see some of the drivers in the background as well. Looks like Zorzo having a bit of a battle there, a bit of a ding-dong. We see the Williams go down the inside potentially as well of 2 drivers. Yes, Walcott gets the move on the Red Bull, gets a great move through into P10. But it is Selly out front at the moment, followed by Gatkowski. And like we said, Carl expecting to be quick on those soft tyres, and he is indeed. As we go through now, and look at that, he's right on the back of the drivers already. Purple first sector for him. Limitless as well, pushing now, and now that he's found his feet right on the back of Mr. Psycho as well in that McLaren, he's going to want to get some moves done as quickly as possible. What about Carlo? Will he go driving down the inside of Gatkowski? Yes, he does. Into P2, almost hit the AlphaTauri, but it's a good move in the end. Gatkowski looking for that switchback though. Will he try and get through? I don't think he does. I think he understands that Carl realistically can only help him in this point, getting through on Selly. As Limitless gets that move done on the McLaren driver, he knows that if he wants to get anywhere near the podium, he's going to have to make sure he sticks with the drivers ahead and gets some moves done. Great race so far from the Red Bull driver. Gatkowski though still staying on the back of Carl in the Haas, but Carl wants to get the move done for the race lead at the moment. But Selly, of course, the man who, like we say, has won 5 races so far this season, knows what it's like to be in front, knows what it's like to be under pressure. So it'll be interesting to see what he can do to keep this Haas behind on the softer tyres whilst they're fresh, whilst they're new and shiny. But of course, when the tyres start to die off, they will start to fall off a cliff. So as Selly does the fastest lap, but then is obliterated by Carl, 33.9. Will he potentially go for a move as we go towards turn 1 now? I don't think he's close enough. No, he is not. In the Haas at the moment. But Selly, of course, who knows Sabres, ERS and so on, is going to be challenging, of course, with Carl for that victory on track. Limitless as well. Interested to see what he can do. Can he get past Volcano and Gatkowski potentially as well? But the soft tyres will fall off sooner rather than later. But Carl wants to use them as much as he can. As we go through the end of the first sector now, let's see if Carl goes for his same move as he went down the inside of Selly. Don't think he's doing that. No, he isn't. I think he's going to potentially just wait for the straight. Yes, as he's practically pushing the AlphaTauri through the corner now, using his overtake. I think he doesn't want to really use too much of it, but I think he's understanding as well. Selly doesn't want to fight it too much because Carl has the penalties, but Selly is slightly going defensive now, but Carl easily gets the move down the inside, and unless there's any contact, which I don't think there is between the drivers, it's going to be a nice easy move for the driver. Oh, but look at that, look at the fighting behind as well. Volcano and Gatkowski really battling it out there as well, and that's put Limitless right in the back of these two, and Selly lets Carl through, but of course Gatkowski's gone on a bit of this action as well, as is Volcano, as is Limitless. And Limitless, if he wants to potentially win this Grand Prix, he's going to have to push through as quickly as possible to make sure that he uses these soft tyres, but at the moment he just doesn't seem to have the speed to do so. But like I say, Volcano runs wide again, and Gatkowski again right on the back, as Kingsman gets a 3-second time penalty, another penalty for him. But like I say, Gatkowski right on the back now of Selly 360. But again, Selly gets closer and closer to the car in front as Carl. Again, look at that. Oh, look at behind. The Volcano almost touching the back of Gatkowski. But these drivers really starting to merge into one now, as we've only got a handful of laps left. And look at that. Carl really struggling to keep Selly behind now. Potentially those soft tyres have already started to fall off a cliff. And look at that. Look at the fighting that's happening now. Gatkowski's going to be loving this in the Mercedes because he knows that he's going to have to get past Selly on track if he wants to get this race victory and take the championship on to the next round. So let's see what happens now. Selly and Gatkowski. Gatkowski really trying to get a move down the inside before the long back straight. No, he doesn't. He tucks in behind, as does Volcano in the Aston Martin. But let's see now as Carl goes defensive instantly. I want to ride on board with Gatkowski now. Will he potentially try and get a move on Selly 360? No, he does not use the ERS for now. But as we go through towards the end of the straight, will Selly try and get a move on the inside? No, he doesn't, but Volcano on the attack as well. Will he potentially try and go around the outside of Gatkowski? He does, but he tucks in, thinks better of it in the end. Limitless starting to fall off slightly now from this top 4, from the top quartet. It looks at the moment like Gatkowski and Selly, there's a bit of contact between the two. Really starting to understand that they need to fight with each other now if they want to get this race victory, because Carl, of course, with those time penalties, will not be a problem for them. But Selly and Gatkowski basically fighting for the race victory now, getting so close to disaster there between the two of them. As we start lap number 23 now. 6 laps to go in this incredible race, incredible culmination to the season now. As Gatkowski with that DRS, will he potentially try and go for a move on the driver in front of him of Selly? No, he does not. Neither does Volcano. And Limitless there or thereabouts, but just cannot quite get the move done. Gatkowski, though, just seems to have a bit more confidence in this championship rival as we go through. Look at that, Carl now starting to find his feet. Riding on board with Gatkowski, just look at the amount of pace he has in that Mercedes car. Oh, is he right over the curb, and that's going to have caused him issues as we go through the end of the first sector. That's going to cost him a little bit of time there. Selly trying to do everything he can to stay within DRS of Carl in front, as he does. Same can be said for Gatkowski, but look at Volcano as well. That could be a problem for Gatkowski that he does not foresee at the moment. But let's ride on board with Gatkowski as well and see, can he get any closer? He can't at the moment. Will Selly try and go for the lead of the race again? Yes, he does down the inside as we see Limitless potentially. Can't quite get a move done, but that has put Carl in between Selly and Gatkowski. Will he potentially go for another move himself? No, he does not. Can't quite make it. But Gatkowski's understanding now that his championship is falling away from him if he cannot get through on Selly on track. So he's going to have to dispatch of Carl as quickly as possible, or hope that the Haas driver can get back past Selly. But again, that could have been a championship winning race move for Selly 360 to go through the second to last corner now to start lap number 24. Limitless has run out of ERS, potentially. No, he does not. It's actually Volcano who's running out of ERS. But it's such a straight line advantage does the Aston Martin have with the setup that he's gaining. He's still able to do that. As Gatkowski now on the inside of Carl. As Flo gets another 3-second time penalty. Gatkowski still not giving up on this race. Still not giving up on his championship. Up into P2 on track. Volcano almost into the side of Carl as well. Can't quite get through. Like we said with Limitless too. He's not able to get past through on these guys. But he knows that if he stays here at the moment, with the penalties in front, he'll be back on the podium, which will be a welcome return for himself in the Red Bull. I'm sure he'll be happy with that after all the trials and tribulations he's had this season. But Gatkowski still within DRS as well of his championship rival. But Selly 360 has the ERS advantage. As we go on to the back straight for the fifth last time, as almost a bit of contact, yes, between the Aston Martin and the Haas drivers. That's not what we like to see, but that's put Limitless right on the side of him. More contacts as he come back on track. Limitless already through on Carl. Will he potentially get the move done? Yes, he does on Volcano. Will this potentially put him in fight for the victory as well? But Limitless is through on the inside. Incredible racing in the end from Limitless. He bided his time and has got through. And with Carl going off the track there, that's really kind of pushed him in a bad position, because that'll put him down into P7 or P8 with the penalties applied. And look at Limitless as well. He can sniff a race victory now on those soft tyres. Can they hold on, and can he potentially get a move done on these drivers? But of course, he's not got a lot of ERS left, so it will be hard for him to get through on Gatkowski and Selly 360. But with these drivers fighting and tussling it out for the race victory, Gatkowski knows he needs to get past Selly to keep his championship alive. This could be Limitless's opportunity to get another race victory and make it 3 race victories this season, as Gatkowski opens up the DRS. He doesn't want to get through this, so he closes it back up again. And Selly knows that, so he's not using any of his ERS at the moment. Limitless, though, as we go through towards turn 1, look at that, he's not giving up on it yet, it must be said. Limitless and Volcano right on the back of this battle as well. As we go through the twisty first part of the lap once more, some of the most favourite corners of all the drivers on the calendar. Limitless is right there, but Selly is under attack from Gatkowski, as we see now going through the end of the first sector. Gatkowski is going to want to make sure that he gets ahead of Selly and does not get re-overtaken, otherwise his championship is over and Selly is crowned champion in Season 4 Tier 1 here in Flashpoint. So, let's see as Carl and Volcano battle out once more. Volcano seems to have made a bit of a mistake there, Carl through. But this is the battle we're looking for at the moment. Gatkowski, Selly and Limitless. Limitless is there or thereabouts. It's a bit of a slow burner for himself, but he's been able to get through and potentially be within the fight. And look at that now, once more. There's more battling in the background as well. Zorzo down the inside of the McLaren driver of Psycho. He gets through. And Laser and Kingsman as well battling it out. But at the moment, like I said, what we're battling on, focusing on is the battle at the front. Oh, as Gatkowski almost loses it. But look at that as we go through into the final few corners of the lap. Limitless right on the back of these two now. He can sniff that race victory. And with those soft tyres on, they'll start to fall off surely sooner rather than later. He's going to have to make his move as quickly as possible. But Gatkowski, he's playing the long game. He knows we have 4 laps to go now. And 3 after they cross the start finish line, as they do now. So 3 laps to go. This potentially could be the winner. This could be the season. This could be the moment where Selly wins his championship with 2 races to go after this one. But Gatkowski, as he goes down the inside, did Selly potentially make a mistake? Yes, he did. And look at that. That's going to put Limitless right in the back of him. As they go through the twisty section now, Limitless is going to be right in the back of these two. Selly made the mistake as we go through turn 1 now. Go through the first part of the sector now. Look at that. Limitless right on the back of these drivers. He's going to want to make a move as quickly as he possibly can if he wants to get this race victory. Riding on board with the Red Bull driver now. It's been a great return for him so far from the last few races he's had, but he's going to have to make sure he's Volcano gets another 3-second time penalty. That's going to be massive for him in the final race standings. But I think Selly as well, a bit tactically, kind of allowed Gatkowski through potentially there to see if he could get DRS as we go through now towards the long back straight. And yes, let's ride on board with Limitless and see what kind of straight line speed he has in the Red Bull. He seems to have quite a lot, but again, so does Selly. This could potentially be 3 wide as we go towards the end of this long back straight. He's up into P2 Limitless, but again, Gatkowski goes around the outside. Is the contact between the two? No, there isn't. Selly goes back up into P1, and the championship leader takes the race lead once more, and it's almost as you were as we go through onto the final part of the lap. Gatkowski, bit there. Oh, it's a bit of contact maybe. Yes, Limitless. Oh, and the 3 drivers get into contact, and that's not what you want to see. But Gatkowski, Limitless, and Volcano get into contact. I think it was a bit of a mistake from Limitless in the Red Bull in the end, and that's surely allowed Selly 360 to get ahead and stay clear of these drivers, as with 2 laps to go now, surely Selly is just too far clear of Limitless and Gatkowski, as The DRS has been broken, and that was a bit of a mistake again from Limitless. It was a good move in the end, but unfortunately, as he locked up, went into the apex, that meant that Gatkowski and Volcano got into a bit of a bang battle, and that's meant surely that Gatkowski, I think, who potentially has some damage on that Aston Martin, excuse me, on his Mercedes-Benz, as we go through the middle part of the first sector now. And like we say, Gatkowski is going to be so frustrated with that. We were expecting a Gatkowski masterclass in the comments, but at the moment it's Selly360 once again doing the right thing, being where he needs to be, at the right place at the right moment. And with only 1.5 laps to go, surely he is going to be crowned Season 4 Tier 1 champion here in Flashpoint. Gatkowski now, with all the ERS, surely he's going to get through on the inside. Yes, he does. And unless he can do the best lap of his life, he surely will not be able to get back past Selly360 and will not be able to keep this championship going. But again, you see Limitless's tyres starting to fall off the cliff now, must be said. He's still nailed on for a P3 at the moment. He did everything he could to get that P2 away from Gatkowski, but unfortunately it's not worked for him at the moment. Like I say, 1 second separates the top two at the moment, just over. Gatkowski is closing in, and he's trying to get within that DRS, which he has done, with 1 lap to go. So he knows he's going to have to push every single limit and potentially try to get that lead back, because he knows he needs to get the race lead back, otherwise the championship is Selly360's as we go through the final corner to start the final lap of the race. Is this the lap where Selly finishes the season the way he meant to start it, by winning the race, by taking the championship after such a dominant display from himself? He's kept himself out of DRS unless Gatkowski can do everything he can to pull himself within. He's back up into it, but he's just not got the ERS to play with at the moment. He knows he needs to have that DRS to try and make anything of this one, but surely it looks like Selly360 will have the championship under wraps as we go through towards the end of the first sector. And as he goes wide, oh, that's a 3-second tyre penalty! Unbelievable! He had to make no mistakes, and I can't believe it. Selly360, the championship leader, the man who was going to win the championship on this lap, has thrown it away with half a lap to go. I do not believe what I have just seen. I saw him go wide, and that was his final warning, and he is not going to win the championship today, because Gatkowski, who has not got any penalties, is going to finish in P1, and surely, unless Limitless gets a penalty, he will finish in P2 as well. And I cannot believe what I have just seen. But Selly360, who's got some more battle in the background as well. Laser down the inside with a few corners to go. Great move for himself. But Selly360 has thrown it all away. He had everything in his hands. He had everything he needed. But with 2 corners to go, unless Gatkowski makes a mistake, it's going to be the Mercedes driver who takes the victory here at the Circuit of the Americas. Selly comes around the final corner to take the checkered flag first, but it is Gatkowski. He takes the championship on to the next race. He wins the race. Selly finishes across the line in P2, Limitless in P3, and after all that, it is absolute shame for Selly360. But with the 7 points that Gatkowski has gained on Selly today, the championship rolls on to the next race. I do not believe what I have just seen. The last lap of the race, Selly makes the mistake, and because of that, the championship rolls on to the next round. Incredible race all round, and Limitless as well, must be said, P3, an incredible race from him. I'm sure he'll be happy with that. Well, unbelievable to see what just happened in that final lap, but Gatkowski didn't get the penalties, and at the end of the day, that's what sim racing is all about. If you don't get penalties, you'll be rewarded. And like we say, Gatkowski now, Selly leaves the session. He is really frustrated with himself. He could have won the championship now. Unfortunately, it rolls on for another round for himself. Gatkowski raises his trophy, sprays the champagne. Good to see Limitless back on the podium as well after a few races in the abyss. But after that last lap calamity from Selly360, their championship rolls on with 2 rounds to go. Selly360 surely can get the championship next time out, but at the moment it will be Gatkowski celebrating. With only 2 races to go, he is 48 points behind Selly360 now, which of course sounds an impossible feat to gain, but things like that have happened before. Think Kimi Raikkonen in 2007. He was 17 points behind Lewis Hamilton with 2 races to go, and of course that was the time when 10 points was what you got for a race victory, and he won the championship. Weirder things have happened, but it's Kei Gatkowski who wins. Selly 360 in second, Limitless in third, great return from him, and Zorzo, fourth place from Tottenham, good incredible from the Aston Martin driver. Psycho in fifth, Volcano in sixth, Laser in seventh, and with the penalty, Carl down into P8, Walcott in ninth, and Kingsman rounds out the top 10. What a great race, incredible action at the Circuit of the Americas. Thank you so much for watching. Join us again next week when we will see a new championship, a new champion crowned potentially, or will we see Gatkowski take it to the final race of the season? Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you next week.